YouTube, I'm back. We're back today. We have a treat for you. Before we can start, if you guys can do me the solid of liking, subscribing, and commenting down below. I'm trying to grow this channel real quick, so any help I can get will be very much appreciated. Today we are doing another reaction to Valuetainment. Shout out to Adam from Saucecast. This is one with Hafeez and Coach Greg Adams. Shout out to the Coach Gang and shout out to Coach Greg Adams. It is titled "There Is No God in Marriages," so this should be pretty fun to react to. So, without any further ado, let's begin this reaction.
To me, it's just not a yes or no question.
But so, Hafeez, what's your issue with this? Go ahead.
So it's always an interesting conversation because to me, like one of the things I'm obsessed with, and Dr. Peterson talks about this so well, is that the more your words are in line with the truth, the more powerful those words are. And I don't know where you are, if you believe in God or not. I don't know who kind of person you are, but like when you line your words up with God, like that's when, to me, your words have the most weight. Dr. Peterson, that's why I feel like he's so powerful. His words transcend humanity and it speaks on this divine level. And so to me, when you're giving advice, your advice has to be as in line with what God believes the world should run as possible. And so to me, the best advice benefits men and benefits women. That's the best.
I mean, that's like a middle of the ground advice, because the best advice is one-sided, because you can't. In life is about winners and losers. So if I win, somebody else has to lose. So you kind of speaking out of both your mouth, because the best advice to men is going to benefit men, while at the detriment of women, and the best advice to women would benefit women at the detriment of men. So I don't know.
Advice. To your opinion, we had 70 years of advice only benefiting women and men suffering as because of it. That is a lie. That is wrong. And the opposite extreme is wrong as well. A world where it all benefits men and the women don't benefit, it's wrong. That's why it's about the balance. And so to me, I'm very curious about, I love her questions because it was like, it's not a gotcha question. It was a genuine, serious question. Shout out my guy, AMS. I love AMS. He did a video about, advice I would give to my daughter, where he actually answers the questions directly. And so to me, I'm very interested in those questions because, like, when I would watch Kevin Samuels and God Rest the Dead, and it was so powerful because he would always push women to being married because he knew the beauty and the value and the protection.
I mean, Kevin Samuels was doing that to his own detriment, because those modern women had no desire to marry the correct men. So Kevin Samuels would tell them, this is your current sexual marketplace value. This is the kind of man this is the kind of man that you deserve based on what you have, and they will still not want to settle with the average man. So I don't know what point he's trying to make, because the best advice he's talking about best advices. The best advice for those women were to marry the average guy, but they'd rather die alone than marry an average guy. So.
And the safety, being a woman and being married. Nobody wants their daughter to be 41 years old, single, baby mama of 3. Nobody wants that for their daughter, especially if they want kids. So to me, I think
nobody wants that, but that's the environment that we have right now. We have a very free love, women are out here doing what they gotta do. So you can't control women in general. So I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say. I really don't know.
The part of the conversation needs to be, is this information benefiting both human beings? When you're on Team Men, it only needs to benefit Team Men. If you're on Team Republican, it only needs to benefit Team Republican. If you're on Team America, it has to benefit all Americans. If you're on Team Human, it has to benefit both males and females. So
my thing with Hafeez, bro, who you trying to help out? Like, are you trying to help out men? Are you trying to help out women? If you're trying to help out men, yes, you're gonna give advice to help out men. If you're gonna help out women, then give advice to help out women. Like, you can't do both. You're trying to become a fence sitter. Like, just choose a side and work with the side. Don't try to be the middle of the man, middle of the ground person. It doesn't work that way. Either you are for men or you against men, or you for men or you're against women.
So that's why I loved her questions, because I think the best, I can give my hardcore advice to benefit men, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, the most hardcore advice that benefits men simultaneously benefits women.
One more thing I'll add to that, and I hope I don't mean to offend you. There's no God in marriage in the United States, so that's kind of misleading, and people will find that out if your marriage is destroyed. You go back to your pastor and you say, hey, my marriage is being destroyed. He has no power over that because it is a state agreement. So I will bring you back to make sure you understand, and I counsel men, there's no God in marriage. That's been gone. Listen, it was an old idea. It's absolutely gone unless you live in an American South. Most people on the West Coast, many people in the East Midwest, there's no God in marriage. So
we break that down. What do you mean there's no God in marriage?
There's no God in marriage. So people get married. One of the things that they will do is they will seek counsel of the church. And then as such, the guys will give them guidance and it will be biblical principle. However, they will say we can't do anything until you sign this state-sponsored agreement with family law context. All right. They're not going to have a Bible in there. They're not going to have a Bible in that divorce court. The judge is not going to ask you, do you like God? And what about God in your marriage? There will be no context to that. And such, what is the overriding principle here?
See, I get what Coach trying to say. And I'm a little biased because I'm a fan of Coach. So that's, right there. I'm a little biased. I'm a fan of Coach. What he's trying to say is when you get married, it's a vow between you, the woman, and God. And when you get divorced, the whole concept of God disappears. There's no, when you get married, the pastor asks you, you say your vows in front of God. But when you get divorced, that whole thing goes out the window. So there's no marriage. So he says there's no God in marriages. He means that, and divorces. Well, I think he meant divorces because there's God in marriage, but there's no God in divorces. Because as soon as it's time to get divorces, when time to get divorced, God disappears all entirely.
Does he
Your
have a
marriage
point there,
is
Hafeez?
state funded, not God funded.
He just made a random point that
I didn't make it random. I told you that this will offend
first,
you, and it's now offended you.
What did I say? No, it didn't offend me. You're just wrong. Let me say what I
wrong.
said.
Wait.
Let me finish.
I'm absolutely right.
Let me finish.
There's no God in the marriage in the United States.
Let me finish, and you can talk. Let me finish.
No, hold for a second.
Let me finish.
Are you going to say
there's
no God in marriage in the United States?
Coach, finish your point. You're saying there's no God in marriage in the United States.
Correct.
Got it.
That was his point. So now I'm going to talk. So I made a point, and I said, if your truth aligns with God, that truth is most powerful. That's what I said. If your truth aligns with God, meaning the word that you speak aligns with God, those words are the most powerful. Then he made a point saying there is no God in marriage. So first, that's a semantic thing because God is everywhere. Whether God chooses to supervene in things or not, I will never be the person that says God is not here. I will never be the person that says God is not present here. Could we argue that is God blessing every American Western marriage? Of course not. Of course, God is not blessing every American, but God is definitely in my parents' marriage. So when you say there is absolute statements, there is no God in marriage. False. Correct. There is no God in some marriages. There is no God in most marriages in regards to by being.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with him on the point where you can't, when you make an absolute statement, that's typically that you typically going to be wrong because there's no absolutes in real life. No, there's always going to be some gray lines and the gray areas, whatever. So yeah, some people are going to have God in their marriages, some people are going to have God outside of marriages. But I see what he's saying.
Being there, no God, mean that God's not blessing it, right? So if you're saying that God is not blessing what's happening in most marriages, that is a true statement. But to say there is no God in marriages, period, that is a false statement because God is in my marriage and God is also in my parents' marriage. And I will continue to say, when it comes to even understanding the ideas of God, God gives human beings free will. It's a very simple concept. You can freely sin or you can freely obey. And God, like a good father, if you want to touch the stove, you can touch the stove. And so to me, I just think when people make statements like this, how do you expect people to feel? There is no God.
I don't expect anybody to feel. I want them to know. I want them to understand. We want them to know we can't feel anything.
I'm talking.
It's getting heated.
The opportunity to talk. So to me, it's how do you expect people to react?
Yo,
my biggest
coach.
thing is that what I'm only communicating in regards to the marriages is that if you are a man, do your due diligence. be able to see if she fits your life, be able to see what is her family background. You can't protect yourself 100% from business failure, from friendship failure, from anything in life, but there is wisdom, there is godly principles that you can adhere to that can benefit you, but there's no absolute guarantees that everything in life will be successful. No one's teaching anybody that.
But and I'm not the most religious person here.
It's funny he said there's no such thing as absolutes, and he just made an absolute statement too, but I digress.
Give that disclaimer out there. You either,
Right,
but
yeah.
how I feel like God is all faith. It's all I believe in this, and no matter what you tell me, you're not going to convince me otherwise, because this is what I believe. I'm sure that there's tons of marriages out there that they believe they go to church every Sunday, and then next thing you know, they get divorced, and God was in their marriage. Yes. So I'm just trying to establish what a godless marriage is, or God-filled marriage is, like how that genuinely curiosity, like how that works, because he's saying no. I think what Coach is basically saying is like, look, I don't care if you go to church every Sunday or not. At the end of the day, your marriage is between you, your significant other, and the
right
state.
Here on earth,
forget about it.
Not in the clouds. And
that's what he's. That's essentially
did you
what he's
ask
saying.
him a question, or
no? I'm just bringing this out to the panel.
What we tell people is that hope is not a strategy. All right, hope is not a strategy in anything. I hope my business goes well. I hope I don't get injured today. I hope I succeed today. We tell people real life principles. All right, we don't live in the clouds. We live here on earth, whether you believe this is heaven or hell.
I get what he's saying. People sometimes think that they'll get married and because they're Christians or whatever and they believe in God, that because of that belief they hope that their marriage might work. No, hope is not a strategy. Meaning is you can't rely on hope itself to actually build something. You have to actually go out there and work for it. Like if you're in a marriage, you got to actually work in your marriage. If you have a business, you got to work in your business. If you're in college, you got to work as a student. You can't simply hope that things are going to work out. You just got to be out there and you have to work for it. I get what you're saying.
So I want you guys to understand you're dealing with earth here. This is a reality.
Are you a believer?
Absolutely not.
No. You're not a believer of God.
No.
Okay, but obviously, Hafeez, you are.
Yeah, and
Were
so
you ever a believer?
So how can you say that?
Here's the deal. What tends to happen is people are introduced to things based on someone else's biases. Okay, and those biases are introduced to children and so forth and so on. So yes, at some point, that was the only story I knew until I investigated on my own, decided as a man what principles to stand on, and then realized I don't live by hope. I don't live by cope. I live with what's real here. Okay. And let's talk about what's real instead of the mystique of this damn thing here. What's real is hope is not a strategy.
So if you don't, I love it. Can I address it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like I said, it's very interesting. I've always told you got to hear someone's background, and then you know where they lean. That's where you know where their advice gears towards. So it's such a even when I talk about God. Like the idea of God in his brain is not the idea I'm talking about. It's this interesting verse in the Bible. I won't get too lost in the sauce in the book of Isaiah where God is somebody's like farming and he's talking about the intricacies of farming. And he says, even that wisdom comes from God. God is not the God of get married happily ever after. That's foolishness. God gives you wisdom. What is the wisdom? Actually do premarital counseling. What is the wisdom? Actually be able to decide, okay, if things...
I hear what he's saying. So he's trying to say that like just to be wise about how you do things is godly wisdom. So, simply believing that this girl is not going to divorce you is not enough to simply get married. So you have to do the work. You got to... It's the same thing that Coach is saying. Coach is saying is don't do the hope strategy. He's saying the same thing. Don't simply believe that... He's saying that doing the work is godly wisdom. So at the end of the day, it makes sense. All right, guys. I think I can cut it here. It's getting to 14 minutes, so we can keep it 14 minutes long. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If you guys can do me a solid by liking, subscribing, and commenting, I appreciate you guys. Keep watching my content. Keep doing what you got to do. Till next time.